5 true scary stories that will keep you up at night. Story 1. The Haunted Tunnel. Our first story comes from a woman who visited the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. As she walked through a tunnel that ran underneath the DMZ, she started to feel an eerie presence. It was like she was wading through neck-deep water, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. As she got deeper into the tunnel, things took a terrifying turn. She started to see shadowy figures out of the corner of her eye. And when she got to the end of the tunnel, she heard a woman's voice pleading with her not to leave. The experience left her shaken to her core. And when she told her friend about it later, he revealed that he'd had a similar experience in the same tunnel. It's enough to make you wonder, what dark secrets lurk beneath the surface of the DMZ? Story 2. The Phantom Intruder. Next up, we've got a story from a woman who was house-sitting for a friend. One night, as she was getting ready for bed, she heard the unmistakable sound of someone coming in through the front door. She called out, thinking it was her friend coming home early. But when she went to check, there was no one there. She searched the entire house, but found nothing out of place. The doors were still locked, and the windows were shut tight. But then, things took a chilling turn. She started to hear footsteps coming from the living room. And when she went to investigate, she saw 2 shadowy figures sitting on the couch. She ran back to the bedroom and called her friend, who confirmed that no one else should be in the house. They searched the place top to bottom, but found no sign of any intruders. To this day, she can't explain what she saw that night. But one thing's for sure, it's enough to make you think twice about staying home alone. Story 3. The Cursed Apartment. Our third story comes from a guy who moved into a new apartment with his sister. At first, everything seemed normal. But then, strange things started to happen. It all began when their neighbors, a guy named Diego and his son Valentine, moved out suddenly. Turns out, they'd been sacrificing puppies to Santa Muerte, the notorious saint of death. After they left, things took a dark turn. The apartment started to feel haunted. They'd hear scratching at the windows late at night, and see shadowy figures lurking in the darkness. But the worst was yet to come. One night they woke up to the sound of something crashing in the living room. When they went to investigate, they found the place completely trashed. The TV was smashed, pictures were thrown off the walls. It was like a tornado had ripped through the place. They tried to seize the apartment, and say prayers to ward off the evil spirits. But even after they moved out, the nightmares followed them. It's a reminder that sometimes, the things we bring into our homes can have lasting consequences. Story 4. The Demon in the Woods. Next, we've got a story from a woman who grew up in a small town. When she was a kid, she and her friends loved to play in the woods near her house. But one day, they encountered something that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. They were walking along a trail when they saw an old woman emerge from the woods. She was covered in dirt, and she begged them to come and help her with her broken-down car. But the kids got a bad feeling, and they refused to go with her. As they walked away, one of the kids started making fun of the old woman. And that's when things took a terrifying turn. Suddenly, the kid was launched into the air and slammed into a nearby shed, breaking his arm in the process. From that day forward, the kids were haunted by recurring dreams of the old woman. They knew in their hearts that she was no ordinary person, she was something much darker, much more sinister. And they'd be forever haunted by the memory of their encounter with the witch in the woods. Story 5. The Possession. Our final story comes from a guy who worked construction. One day, his team was assigned to work on an old church that had been built on top of an ancient graveyard. As they started digging, they uncovered piles of human bones. It was a grim task, but someone had to do it. So, our guy stepped up and started picking the bones out of the dirt, carefully cleaning them off and setting them aside. But as he worked, he started to feel a strange presence around him. It was like he was being watched by the dead. And when he looked out of the corner of his eye, he swore he could see shadowy figures standing near the hole, watching him work. The experience left him shaken. And things only got weirder when he got back in the car with his coworkers. He saw the same shadowy figures in the back seat, following him home. He tried to shake it off, telling himself it was just his imagination. But deep down, he knew the truth. He'd been touched by something dark that day, something that would follow him for the rest of his life. It's a reminder that sometimes, the things we disturb are better left buried. So there you have it, 5 more true scary stories to keep you up at night. If you like this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you never miss an upload. Leave us a comment with your own scary encounters, and thanks for tuning in to Scaratastic.